The early church fathers continued to develop and defend the doctrine of grace in response to various theological challenges. Augustine of Hippo, one of the most influential theologians in Christian history, articulated a robust theology of grace in his debates against Pelagianism. Pelagius argued that humans could achieve salvation through their own efforts without the need for divine grace. Augustine, however, insisted on the necessity of grace for salvation, emphasizing human dependency on God's unmerited favor for redemption and sanctification. Augustine's writings, particularly Confessions and the City of God, profoundly influenced Western Christian thought, shaping the understanding of grace as essential to the Christian life. His doctrine of original sin and the necessity of grace for overcoming human depravity became foundational to subsequent theological developments. Grace in the Reformation. The doctrine of grace was central to the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. Reformers such as Martin Luther and John Calvin vehemently opposed the perceived legalism and works-based salvation of the Roman Catholic Church. Luther's doctrine of justification by faith alone, or sola fide, emphasized that salvation is a gift of grace, received through faith in Jesus Christ apart from any human merit. Luther's 95 Theses, nailed to the door of the Wittenberg Castle Church, sparked a theological revolution, challenging the Church's teachings on indulgences and penance. His translation of the Bible into German made the Scriptures accessible to the laity, promoting the idea that salvation and grace are directly accessible through faith and the Word of God. John Calvin's theology further elaborated on grace, particularly through his doctrine of predestination. Calvin argued that God's grace is sovereign and efficacious, determining the salvation of individuals according to his divine will. This emphasis on God's sovereign grace became a hallmark of Reformed theology and influenced various Protestant traditions. In contemporary Christian thought, the doctrine of grace continues to be a vital and dynamic aspect of theology and practice. Various Christian denominations emphasize different aspects of grace, but the core idea remains that God's unmerited favor is the foundation of salvation in the Christian life. The concept of grace has also found resonance in ecumenical and interfaith dialogues, highlighting the common ground among different religious traditions. The emphasis on grace as a divine gift encourages humility, gratitude, and a spirit of compassion and forgiveness, fostering greater understanding and cooperation among diverse faith communities. The evolution of the history of grace, from its roots in the Old Testament to its profound development in the New Testament and beyond, reveals its transformative power in Christian theology and practice. St. Paul's letters, with their emphasis on grace as the foundation of salvation, have profoundly shaped the Christian understanding of God's unmerited favor. The acknowledgement and interpretation of Paul's teachings by early Christian leaders, including Apostle Peter, underscore the significance and complexity of grace in the Christian faith. As we continue to explore the interplay between grace and yoga, it is essential to appreciate the rich theological heritage that informs our understanding of grace. By integrating the principles of grace with the practices of yoga, we can cultivate a wellness approach to spiritual growth, mental health, and healing of bodies. It will enhance and foster greater harmony, compassion, and well-being in our lives and communities.